Introducing the Darius Minor Foundation, our first fundraising campaign, the All American Cleat Drive, running May 5th through June 4th. We're looking to provide cleats in good clothes, good shoes for student athletes that are, underprivileged, less fortunate, those that are in need. So if you can help, by all means, do so. If you can't, share it. It's all across social media. Now that that's out the way, man, let's get into it. Spotlight 39. It starts now. What's going on, everybody? It's Rob Odie. I'm in the Bear Cave. You know it is Studio 39, and this is Spotlight 39. We got a good one. We've been going back and forth. I've been tweeting about it, posting on IG. My guy Clinton Portis, he's going to join me. Y'all probably thought I was, bluffing. He's here live in person. We're about to have some good conversation, but more importantly, he's about to drop some knowledge on you guys. All right. So look, before we get into it, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on, give it a thumbs up, all that fun stuff. Comment during this broadcast, show my man some love, and I'm gonna bring it up on the screen. All right. With all that out the way, man, go ahead, introduce yourself formally. Tell us who you are, where you're from, all that good stuff, man. We'll have some good conversation. Oh man, we lost audio. All right, so look, let's do this. Log out, join me back on that same link. Because when you text message or something like that, we lose audio. So just go out and then come back in. All right, so look, here we go. I think we got audio. Floor is yours, my man.
What's good, man? It's CP in the house, Clint Portis, man. Laurel, Mississippi in the house, via Gainesville, Florida, via the U. However you want to look at it, man. We in the building. Real talk, real conversation. Let's get it.
There we go. There we go, man. So look, Clinton Portis in the flesh. We're gonna drop some knowledge on you. But before we do, let's kind of rewind the clock. Give us a short stint on, kind of what your high school career looked like. Were you heavily recruited? How did you end up at the U? And then, what was life in the NFL? And then we're gonna get to some tips and tricks.
Man, I think just a quick synopsis. Uh, I was in the Gators' backyard. My high school was probably 10 minutes away from the University of Florida, Gainesville High School. And, uh, I knew I had the talent. I knew I had the opportunity, but I wanted to play receiver and DB. And my junior year, well, going into my junior year, my coach came to me and was like, yo, I'm moving you to running back. This receiver thing not working out. No, he actually said, I'm moving you to quarterback. And I'm like,
Quarterback.
what? Quarterback. So we would go through the spring game. He put me in at quarterback for the spring game. We were trying to run the option and that didn't work. So he was like, nah, I'm gonna put you in the backfield. You know what I mean? Like you can't catch the ball, so I'm gonna hand it to you. So I've never played running back my entire life. Like I've never played, even if you were playing throw up tackle, I never played running back. Like I was
Interesting.
always DB receiver because I knew I was fast. So I'm brand new, never played running back before. And my junior year, I had 900 and something yards rushing, but I passed the ACT. I passed the ACT my junior year. I had already qualified for college. So all the colleges started recruiting. All the mail opened
Oh
up.
yeah.
You were getting letters that, basically was just, oh, we see you. And then once I passed that ACT, everything changed. Like now coaches realize like this kid has already qualified and on top of his stuff. So now everyone is recruiting me as a DB. And this is 98. Everybody is looking at me as a DB. I got 900 yards rushing. After our playoff run, I think I called LSU, I called Georgia Tech because those were my, like, I'm from Mississippi,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's who I saw every week, and they hadn't recruited me, so I'm calling to get on their radar. And they like, nah, kid, we're good. Like LSU had Josh Reed and Georgia Tech had Joe Burns, so they were coming in 99. So I'm like, what? Okay, cool. So you fast forward to 99, well, my senior year, I go for 2,000, and
Double
I'm
the
up
effort.
for, me and Anquan Bolden, Willie Green, we're up for Mr. Florida, like uh, everything. So now all these schools are calling and interested at running back. So I'm like, when I called y'all last year with 900 yards, you didn't want to talk. So I don't want to talk. You know what I mean?
That's
So it
it.
kind of narrowed it down to the teams that were already, I think it was a loyalty to the teams that were recruiting me when I had a 900, which was uh, Maryland, Miami, Oklahoma State, um, at the time, like Northwestern and Illinois, all of those schools were Rutgers. Like
Oh yeah.
they were so heavy on the recruiting trail. But I'm like, man, them teams suck. Like I'm not going to those schools. So in my mind, I had already narrowed it down to Miami, Maryland, Oklahoma State because those were like the big schools at that time. Alabama was recruiting me, but Alabama wasn't. Florida
That was
was a
pre-Saban
team
days,
in
right?
the SEC. Yeah, yeah, that was before saving. So uh, everyone was sending letters, but as far as sending coaches, it was probably about 20 schools, Central Florida, South Florida, that was sending coaches, and Dante Culpepper was just at Central Florida, so they were growing and on their way to being, a big school. And just for me, I think the loyalty and one of the best things that happened was my running backs coach, who happened to be my running backs coach at the University of Miami, Coach Donnie Solinger, like a legend, one of the best coaches of all time, came to, every coach came to the school trying to sell me on the idea of why I should come
Right.
to their university. And Coach Solinger came in and I threw him the tape, like, man, check this out. Like this is me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, yo, bro, if you effing want to come to the University of Miami, I'll recruit your ass. If you don't waste my effing time. Like I can go recruit the
Good
next
point.
kid. And I thought that was so thorough, like, and it was so upfront, and it wasn't one of those, let me sell you on the University of Miami and let me kiss your butt and tell you what you want to hear. So he kept it so thorough, you couldn't do nothing but respect it, and it helped me peep all the coaches that were like lame, just
Right.
telling me what I want to hear because some coaches was telling me I could play both ways, I could play offense and defense, and I could play kick return, anything I requested, they were down for. And Miami was one of those schools that just was like, hey, bro, we're building something you could fit in. We're not kissing your butt. We're on our way back. You're welcome to come here. We want you here. And that's where everything took off from.
So then, so once we got to the U, right? I mean, you played with a pretty star-studded cast, right? I mean, y'all were pretty loaded
Well,
then.
it was before we got loaded. If I think about prior to going to the U, they had a combine that summer. They had a Nike camp at the University of Miami, and it was probably 300 kids. Skill position camps, and it was probably 300, 400 kids, and they kind of shut the camp down when it came to the wide receiver DB aspect of it. And it was like five or six of us. And those six people were Andre Johnson, Kevin Beard, who also went to University of Miami, Philip Buchanan, who also went to the University of Miami, myself, Antonio Bryant, that played at Pitt, and Torrey Cox, that played at Pitt. So we basically shut the camp down. Like it was everybody was standing watching us perform. So um, when it came down to it, then I go on my visit and I meet a young Santana Moss, a young Reggie Wayne, Dan Morgan, guys that were hungry that weren't household names yet.
Right.
So they were on their way to being like they were up next and they were so excited, like, dog, you got to come here. And it was just like I was already there. The relationship. the relationship on my visit in that little 2 day felt like a brotherhood that I was already a part of. So when it came down to it, it was a no brainer.
That's huge. I mean, the like you said, they weren't quite household names, and then look at to what they were able to build, and I mean, they had one hell of a career, which is it's just remarkable. You guys did some pretty special things down there. Now, going from a heavy recruit, right? Because you got pretty heavily recruited. You go to the University of Miami. What was that transition like? Going from being big man on campus. Did you walk on campus and you're still big man on campus, or did you kind of have to take a step back and realize, what, it's not my time yet?
Well, I always felt like big man, and it was just that come up. Like my sophomore year in high school, well, my freshman year, I got moved up to varsity. Then my sophomore year, I was starting at wide receiver, but I wasn't putting up any numbers. Then my junior year, I was highlighted at tailback. In my senior year, like I took off, but I had the same crew around me. So and my entire crew was good. You know what I mean? Rod
Yeah.
Littles, Darius Jackson, Cody Moore. My entire crew was good. So although I was cocky and confident, going to college was just like one of those. You had Edgerrin James, James Jackson, Najee Davenport, Jared Payton, all at the University of Miami at this time.
Yeah.
And EJ go on to the NFL. Like when I committed, Edge hadn't announced he was going to the NFL. So I was walking into a crowded backfield off of some advice that he gave me, and that was don't shy away from competition. Like competition gonna make you better, and don't shy away from it.
That's a little
So
different story
for
these
me,
days, right? With the transfer portal.
yeah, like everybody run from the competition. Soon as they bring in a recruit, like they act as if, oh, you're not supposed to recruit anybody else. Like this is just supposed to be about me. And at this time, it was about the competition. And being that we had competition, we had a healthy, friendly competition. Um, it was always you always got to see somebody because Bubba Franks was the man that left my freshman year in '99, and then in 2000 you had Morgan, um, Wayne, Moss, Damian Lewis. You had all these guys leave in 2000, and then 2001 we left. So it happened so quick. You never really got an opportunity to be like, I'm the man on this
Right,
campus
right.
because when we came in, it was like in '99 it was Bubba Franks and like those names were up next. They were in 2000, and then in 2000 I got injured, and I watched them go on to I think it was the victory over Florida State where I realized like, well, we got something. Like we're back. And after the victory over Florida State, I was injured, so I wasn't really a part of the team. So I never got the chance to be big headed or big man on campus. It was like I was trying to hustle and recover to get back. And then my junior year, man, that happened so fast when we won the Rose Bowl, like it was like a blur because we were just laser focused. So it wasn't like we was walking around campus. And even on campus, people forget that University of Miami is private. So on campus, we was like low on the totem pole because we were on scholarships. Like the kids at the
Really?
University of Miami, people loaded. Like they coming from South America and Central America, and they already got Ferraris, Jags. Like you riding a bike around campus, they looking at you like, oh, you go to this school for free? Like, yeah, I'm on scholarship. They like,
Heck
oh,
yeah.
so it was different at that time because Miami was such a prestigious university and private university that no one knew.
I
Like
didn't know
nobody
that. So
knew
that's
what we was
interesting.
dealing with. Like for us to be walking around campus and to go on to be the people that we are, like the students was like, what? Like I don't know them. Like we weren't like a college town. I grew up in Gainesville when Jacquez Green and Fred Taylor, Javon Curse were like bigger than any NFL player that you could possibly cross paths with, and that was the college town vibe. So going to University of Miami, where you got South Beach, you got everything else, and athletes at that time, the Dolphins had Jason Taylor and um, linebacker 54.
Zach Morris? No, I mean Zach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Zach. I want to say it's Taylor, but that's not right. But I know exactly what you're talking
Uh,
about, man. That was at the tail end of
yeah.
Marino
So
days, because
that
they were
like
brother-in-laws,
the
right?
transition. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the Heat, maybe the Heat had just got Shaq, and they were coming off a Hardaway, so it was like the sports in Miami at that time weren't up here, and then we took off, and the sports just took off. So it was a different time.
That's interesting, man. So we we get through that, right? And then you enter the draft. We get drafted. Where were you drafted overall? First round, what?
I was drafted in the second round.
Second
I
round.
was
Okay.
drafted 51st overall. So that was a whole nother experience within itself
Yeah.
because I felt like I should be the third pick in the draft, and in my interview process and everything else, I let it be known that, hey, you got to trade, either the Detroit Lions drafted me or you need to trade with the Detroit Lions to draft me. And a lot of the execs uh, and owners kind of laughed in my face, like, kid, are you crazy? Like, we're not drafting you number three. And I'm like, bro, I should be the third pick in this draft. I think that year David Carr was first. Like the Texans and the Panthers had the first two picks, and they were expansion
Yep.
teams. So you knew the Texans were taking a quarterback, and the Panthers were taking a local kid who turns out to be Julius Peppers. So at number three, I'm like, hey, it gotta be me. I can understand the first two, but at number three, the Detroit Lions should have drafted Clint Portis instead of Joy Harrison, and that didn't happen. And then my former coach goes on to draft another running back from Boston College, William Green, and T.J. Duckett goes off the board to the Falcons, and then the Carolina Panthers come back in the second round and draft Deshaun Foster. At that point, I just walked out. Like, I've never seen my name get called. Like, I never got that experience to see my name called. Like, I left my own draft party,
Oh wow.
and I just was like, it's on. You know what I mean? Like, the moment that I got passed over by those guys, it was like, it's on. I'll prove to them. Like, I have to continuously prove to myself that I am who I say I am. So my first 2 years in Denver, and that's what people don't understand. My first 2 years in Denver, man, was like the angry years. I'm 20 and 21, like trying to prove to you that I am who I say I am. And every team that passed over me, like, I had a data against them. Like, I wanted to go out and show you that you should have drafted me. And I don't think that really stopped until all of a sudden the Redskins realize, hey, you know what? This kid is pretty damn good, and we're willing to champ money to acquire him. So I think it kind of calmed
Yeah.
me down because I felt like finally stop I can stop trying to prove my worth like someone else sees it.
Yeah. Somebody else valued, what you valued in yourself. And if I'm not mistaken, you were traded as part of a blockbuster deal, right? Like one of the bigger trades in, at least in my lifetime, right? Because you
Well,
went one for one with
I think it would be no. I went 2 for 1. They
two for
got
one.
Champ Bailey and a second round draft pick
Yeah.
out of that deal, and the Skins got me. So
You
when
went
you
on
look at it, I
to
think
give
impact
them
of the
your
game,
everything.
Champ. Yeah, like, people always, oh, the Broncos won this trade. Like, Champ happened to be on great team, got a great opportunity, won the Super Bowl, which you congratulate him for that. And you can't take anything away from his talent, but I think impact, as far as what I brought to Washington, having to shoulder and carry an organization, like having to carry an organization on my back, and to be able to say I did that. When you look at those stats, everybody
For a
like,
handful of
oh man,
years.
Portis got to DC and fell off. Like, my best year was 1561 in Denver. Like, I was consistent for 6 of the 9 years that I was in the NFL. my numbers were consistent 14, 1,500 yard seasons. Um, and the three that they weren't, I was injured all three. So if people understood football and understood the magnitude of the game, you would be able to see that. So people like, oh, you got the DC and you fell off. Like, no, I didn't fall off. In DC, I had four, 1,300 plus yard seasons, and the two that I didn't, I was injured.
That's it. I mean, and you can't control that, right? Control the controllables, and if you're hurt, you can't be on the field.
I left it. I left it on the field, man. That's all I could tell you.
That's it, man. So, man, that's a hell of a story, man. I appreciate that. That was a little deeper than I anticipated. So, very cool. Um, with that, what's life like after the NFL, right? Because obviously you went on. You still rock with the Redskins or the football team. There for for a little while. After, are you still with their broadcast team, or what's life like after the NFL?
Yeah, yeah, man. Like I love being a part of the broadcast team. So hopefully 26 minutes will be back up and running once the season gets started and being around the team, like being a fan of the team, a supporter of the team. I love the direction that they're heading in right now with Coach Rivera. I think he's making moves and putting his staple on things. You look at that front office, everything has flipped
Everything.
in a 2 year period. And it's heading in a positive direction. Despite all the negativity that's tried to garner from the name change to everything else. I think the organization is heading in a positive direction and in the right direction. So you got a young, mean stud defensive line room, and you have some talent around them. I think that receiving core is going to be really exciting to watch. I've always been a huge fan of Terry McLaurin, and now you've adding pieces around him, giving him his college roommate, and add more talent. Local kid out of North Carolina, Diami Brown, who I grew up, well, not grew up watching, who I had a chance to watch because UNC is always on the TV. So being that I know what he's bringing to the table, the speed, the dynamic playmaking that he is going to bring, I mean, I'm excited about the season.
Yeah, man. It's I can't say that I'm a Washington fan personally, but shout out to my man Darius. That's his squad, right? And like I said, you were one of his favorite players. Santana was one of his players. Santana actually posted on his Instagram, man. Right when he found out about the passing, and he posted the picture of them having dinner. I think at Pierre Garcon's pizza joint, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it was his pizza joint. But nonetheless, man, look, I kind of got sidetracked anytime I mentioned his name, man. I'm sorry. But look, let's do
It's
this.
all good.
Let's get back into to advice, man. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of kind of what Spotlight 39 represents. What advice would you give these student athletes, that might not have, the offers or the blessings, as I like to call them, stacked up, right? Because we can look on Twitter, we can see kids, or in your case, we can look on Instagram, right? And we can see these kids that are stacking, 50 offers, and kudos to them because they got the talent, they deserve it. But what about the kids that maybe only have a small handful of offers? Maybe a couple FCS, maybe a FBS. But what advice would you give these guys that just want to fulfill their dreams, man?
Why are you worried about what the next man have? If
Love
you got one offer, if you got one opportunity, take advantage of it. You can have one offer at this time in sports. If you go, they're gonna find talent. So no matter where you are, no matter what team you on, if you put in the work, you put the effort, the hustle, handle the business that you need to handle, and not compare yourself to the next individual. If you look at some of the best players of all time, the Walter Paytons, the Jerry Rice, the Terrell Owens, those guys all came from colleges that you could name. I could name them
Exactly,
because I know it was Mississippi Valley, Jacksonville. I mean, Jackson State. Teams, schools out of Mississippi,
and that's
but
exciting to
Tennessee
watch too, man. I didn't want
Chattanooga
to cut you off, but Jackson
for
State,
To.
it could be special.
Yeah, yeah, so you could come from anywhere. I think of my teammate London Fletcher in the path that he
Great,
traveled to get to the NFL, and he's an all-time great. You don't have to be at Alabama, you don't have to be at Clemson or Ohio State. to get into the NFL and all of a sudden make a name for you. I think that that background, that sleeping on cots, that not having all the fancy equipment and the fancy buildings and the great planes, the private planes and fancy locker rooms, like you don't need all that. What you need is a work ethic, a mindset that you're going to make it, and a belief that you're going to make it. And you need something to make it for, whether it's your mom, whether it's your upbringing, your belief, your grandparents, whatever it is, you need a reason to go out and do what you do. And once you find that reason, give it all you got. Don't worry about where you're giving it because they'll come find the talent.
I love it, man. That's look, as soon as you started that off with you don't care if you have one offer, 50 offers, right? Take that one offer, stop worrying about the guy beside you, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Don't
see it
don't
all
worry
too
about what you
often.
don't have.
That's it.
Don't worry about what you don't have.
And
Make
don't worry
do
about
with
what the
what
guy
you
beside
have.
you has,
And
right? Because the guy beside
yeah,
you,
because most of the time, man, them kids blow it. That kid with 50 offers end up being the transfer that we reading about. Like,
that's it.
oh man, this was the top recruit 2 years ago. Now he's transferring. Like, bro, get to where you're going, get your mindset, get focused, be ready for the competition, and do what you gotta do. Don't all this, oh, I'm jumping in the portal. If it don't work out here, if it gets hard here, I'm gonna leave this school. And the grass is not always greener. Like we've seen the portal work out for a select few of guys that have an outstanding work ethic and some, if you look at Jalen,
I was gonna say
uh,
Jalen Hurts is
uh,
probably the most recognizable recently, right?
yeah,
I
you
mean,
look at Jalen Hurts, and that was a situation that he couldn't control. He did no wrong at Alabama. It's not like he
no,
was looking to transfer. I think he just got into a situation and he made the most out of it.
that's it.
You look at De'Aaron King. I think it's working out great for him, going from Houston to Miami. But that's been a long road, and you look at the quarterback that went from Georgia to Ohio State, that the Bears drafted this year. That was
Fields, yep,
tough,
yeah,
like that was tough. That's a tough road, but it don't work out that way. You're not gonna get the Baker Mayfield. I'm going from Texas Tech to Oklahoma, and I'm gonna win the Heisman. Like, no, man, that's four people that we're discussing over a 10-year period that had success. Think about all the people that's jumped in that portal that disappeared.
that's it.
So everybody harp on, oh well, he did it and he did it. Man, them people had different work ethics. They had different motivation. Like they went and made it work, which was great. But everyone can't do that.
That's it, man. In the transfer portal this year alone is just mind blowing. The fact that on Twitter it's you see this kid, like you said, he was the top recruit, top 50 in the nation last year, and this year he's already transferring out, and he's proud to commit to a lower FBS or even an FCS type program because once he got on campus, things change, right? Life's different.
Yeah, because once you sign on that line, man, all that they trying to kiss your ass to get you there. Once you get there, you got to kiss you the one. The coach
That's
who's
it.
normally the coaches who was recruiting you, like you don't even really get to talk to. You're only talking to your position coach. Once you hit that campus, you're in the big team meeting room. You might get to talk to the head coach, but it's your position coach, your offensive coordinator, and your strength coach. So make sure you have a great relationship with those three before you go to any university. Know who your strength coach is, see what kind of relationship you have with them, know who your position coach is, form a relationship, and be able to form a relationship with your office coordinator because those are the three people that you're going to talk to. Other than that, it's going to be teachers and teammates. So all of this, people come in and sell you a dream. Oh man, they sent the best recruiter and he made it sound good and we were relatable. But if he's a DB coach and you play running back, you don't get to talk to him. Like in
That
practice,
relationship's
when
out the
you're off
window.
the field, he's on the field. Yeah, like what we gonna talk after practice? Like he got to go break down film and watch film, so you're gonna be busy. I think kids should get that understanding and know what they're getting themselves into, because so many kids run and jump like, oh man, they told me this, they told me that, and then when you get to campus, you're expecting instead of like making knocking doors now. You have to go out and prove that you're worthy of XYZ. Like this isn't coming onto the University of Alabama campus and oh man, you're the next tour, and the town is crazy over you, and everybody treating you like tour. And all you better go out there and win some games, or
That's it.
your ass gonna be up out of here.
Right, you go from being 2 at Alabama to, somebody in a FCS, sitting on the bench behind the next guy, right?
A-
It
And it's
it
nothing
happens all too
wrong with
easy.
FCS, but every school, like
Yeah,
every school is dealing with it, man. It's every school that you could possibly go to. If you went and talked to those players, it's somebody on that team with so much talent that can help
that's it.
them win that's getting screwed, whether the coaches don't like him or he's gotten into some trouble that no one knows of, or something work ethic wise where he's in the doghouse. For whatever the story is, whatever the reason is, it's someone on every team, FBS, high school, NFL, that's not getting the opportunity that they can to help their team out.
That's it, man. So look, I super appreciate you bearing with me, jumping on, taking the time. You dropped more knowledge than I anticipated, and I could be more grateful. Again, thank you. I'm gonna let you get off here, man. I know you're tired, but for everybody out there, this was a big deal, man. Like I said, you were one
Man,
of Darius's favorite players on, his favorite team. So I appreciate you, genuinely from the heart, man. So I'm
hey,
Rob Bodie. This was Spotlight 39, man. Until next time, I appreciate you.